Things that you'll never forget. It was the first time I walked onto a Super Bowl stadium field. It was like the yays and the boos met at the 50-yard line, and once the game gets going, then it becomes another game, but all the excitement around the first one was pretty memorable.
Okay, get your cameras ready, folks, because we've got someone who's going to throw out a couple of balls for you right now. Catch a pass from Joe Montana. Perfect spiral.
And my normal,
there we go.
My normal end over end throws.
They all count if they're completed,
That's
right?
That's right.
Let's have a look at Super Bowl 19. Fingers crossed we get this one. Let's have a look at 19. So that was a special one because it was two Pittsburgh area quarterbacks going at it. And Dan Marino had received so much hype that season, hadn't he?
Yeah, when coming into the game, Danny had just come into the league and had a tremendous year, and there was a lot of hype about Dan and his ability to throw the ball, which was always fun for me to watch. I enjoyed watching Danny play. But I think the one thing that was overlooked in the game was how good our defense was that year. We had probably the best defense we had of all the years I played in that game, and people didn't think that we could slow down Danny, but they found out otherwise. And, guys like Ronnie Lott and those guys, they put on a show.
And we know you worked with, obviously, Jerry Rice. And would you say Jerry Rice right up there as the very best player in NFL history? One of the best?
I don't see anybody any better than Jerry Rice, I can tell you that. There's some people who say they're better than Jerry Rice, but he may have a concussion or two because he's not thinking correctly. But Jerry is the best I've ever seen play the game. He just had an ability to get deep and get behind you.
And the reason I ask about Jerry, who we'll see catching passes from you in a moment, is he wasn't the only offensive player you had. Dwight Clark was there. We saw in Super Bowl 19 how important Roger Craig was in that game.
Well, one of the things you see about our offense is we don't just throw the ball to wide receivers. We use our backs as much as we can in the tight end. Bill likes to get everybody involved, and Jerry seemed to get a lot of balls because he seemed to get open a lot more. And he was usually number one in our progression as we went through our reads. But yeah, we liked getting Roger involved, and he not only was a great running back, but he could catch the ball out of the backfield very well. So
those were the first two Super Bowls. Then it was a repeat against Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos. We gave you a sneak peek. Let's have another look now. Against the Bengals first. We'll get to that schoolboy stuff, the stuff of dreams, throwing the touchdown at the end to John Taylor. Get to that in a moment, but take us back to the start of that drive. And they didn't call you Joe Cool for nothing. You're doing some star spotting in the crowd. Tell us about that.
Well, we have a player. One of the things I always try to do is try to be myself, no matter if it's the beginning of the game, the end of the game, or the winning or losing. And we happened to be waiting for the clock to start, the drive to win that Super Bowl 23. And our starting tackle, Harris Barton, was a people person. So during this week of the Super Bowl, we were always free for dinner. And every morning, Harris would come back like a little kid, telling you all the celebrities he had seen from the night before. And he was always so excited about it. So we were standing there, and I just was standing like here, looking over your shoulder, and I saw John Candy. And I didn't remember Harris saying that he had seen John Candy, so I thought he'd be interested to see John Candy while we were standing there. And he looked at me, he looked over there and saw him, and he looked back at me like, "You're crazy. What are you thinking about this, trying to win a game standing here?" But I thought it was being nice to him.
And I remember reading that in the middle of that drive, there was so much going on, so much excitement, you almost passed out, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of the times, I've never had it happen before, and the crowd was so loud that I was screaming at the top of my voice, even in the huddle, and I think I just ran out of oxygen. When I put my hand under the center, on the way to put my hand under the center, I started getting that black and white fuzzy TV look, and it started to go away, and I snapped the ball, and as I started back, it came back again, and I just turned to my left and threw the ball as far out of bounds as I could, and then right underneath of there's Jerry Rice wide open. I couldn't see him.
And the touchdown pass. 34 seconds left to win a Super Bowl. Even you had already won a couple, but that must still be so special.
Yeah, I mean, throwing a touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl as a quarterback on the last drive of the game. As I told you before, I did that 1,000 times in my backyard with my best friend. So it was a dream come true to be able to win a game on the last throw, and it's especially a Super Bowl.
And Super Bowl 24 was an incredible domination. You had that defense again, as you say. It wasn't just about the offense, but you got off to a quick start against Denver, and they never recovered.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons that people seem to forget. I know I get a lot of credit, Jerry Rice gets a lot, but I'm just telling you, you don't win championships and that many championships without great defenses, and we had them. And that group that we had together and was together for a long period of time allowed us to do that. And they shut down another big high-powered quarterback in Elway, and we had so many weapons offensively that year that we got on a roll, and it was kind of hard to slow us down.
That was the first win for Super Bowl for George Seafield. It would be remiss of me not to go back to 23 and ask about Bill Walsh, because that was his final game, and how special he was in your life.
Well, Bill was one of those special coaches that comes around only a few times in the league. And there's a lot of great coaches, but there's only a handful of special ones that have been around. And Bill just had a unique way about his personality, how he treated the players, how he had the players treat everyone else. It was total respect, but demanded perfection. He wanted perfection, and he would come to practice and he would say, we'd have a script of plays. So I said, here we go, we got 90 plays. We could be here for 90 minutes, or we could be here for 290 minutes. Depends on how you want to practice. So, and if we didn't do it, we did it over and over and over again until we got it right.
What did it mean to you to go into the Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame was a kind of a strange experience at first for me. Because it's kind of like the last award you ever get, right? And I felt like it was putting nails in my coffin. Right? It was hard enough to retire. Now you're going to do this to me, right? So, but once I figured out, I really was just getting on another team of some of the greatest players ever to play the game, and I started to settle in and enjoy it a little more.
And we are going to ask Joe in a second. I want to ask Joe quarterbacks he enjoys watching today, but I'm very fortunate to travel to NFL teams, and I spoke to a quarterback last summer who pointed to Joe as his inspiration. So take a look at this video. Or did he not need it?
He didn't need it. The biggest thing is when you're in a position like he's in, or any of especially the quarterbacks are here, is just try to be yourself. We get a lot of credit, and sometimes we shouldn't get as much credit as we get, but you do. And the thing is don't change your personality. Don't be anybody different than any other time in your life, and you'll have more respect from the players that way than anything. And that's how I tried to do and live my life when I was back in the NFL. And obviously, Tom having a great career, one of the fun guys to watch in the league, and off to another great start.
So Tom would be one of them. Who are the other quarterbacks that catch your eye?
Well, obviously some of the older guys, like Peyton Manning, obviously is fun. You look at guys like Drew Brees, look at Aaron Rodgers. I like watching Russell Wilson up in Seattle.
Right. Yep.
Of course, I like watching our guy in San Francisco. Those guys are fun to watch. I get a little nervous when he runs around a little bit, but it's a bunch of money running around there. You better get on the ground. Some of I would probably say those guys are a handful.
Okay, we did ask fans to tweet in questions for Joe. We've got a few of those, Joe. We'll just read them out to you now. One of them is from Matthew Armstrong, who says, it's along the lines of that. Do you think we'll see more mobile passers, or do you think that quarterbacks always revert back to the pocket?
Well, I think it's good that the mobile quarterback is around to stay. I don't know if it'll be like full blown like you see in college in the U.S., but it definitely adds a different element and another predicament for the defense when you have a quarterback that can get out and run like these guys can today. When it comes back to it, the mainstay I believe will always be you have to be able to throw from the pocket.
We've got one here from Asif Patel, who asks, do you have a favourite Super Bowl win?
No, they're all favorites.
Yeah.
You know, they were so different. You know, the first one was a little bit. The first one we didn't play to the top of our game, but we still won, and it was that first experience. The second one we played at home at Stanford, so it was right down the street for us. And obviously, the next one you win on the last play of the game, and not sure I really liked the fourth one because we got ahead so far they took me out of the game early, and I was like, I don't like coming out of the game, especially the Super Bowl. You don't want to come out of that one.
One from Mike Smith, who says, let's find it here. Your heroes growing up. Did you have an NFL hero growing up?
The guys I probably watched the most, I grew up just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a little town called Monongahela, and I watched a guy named Terry Bradshaw go from a team that was in the basement to winning 4 Super Bowls. Johnny Unitas was probably another one.
And the final question from Mike Needham, it's referring to Brett Favre getting the call from the St. Louis Rams this week. He says, did you get a call from the Rams to go back and play quarterback?
No, but do you need my phone number?
Yeah, do you want it? So on that, I mean, do you still miss it today?
Oh yeah, I wish everyone could experience a Sunday afternoon on the field because it is the most exciting thing I've ever done in my life. You try when you retire, you try to find that excitement. There's nothing that even comes close. And if I could, one of the guys said today, if we could take a magic pill and go back and play tomorrow, we would all take it right away.
What about tomorrow at Wembley Stadium then? What are you looking forward to seeing, and what is it you like out of this 49ers team? They seem a very physical team.
Yeah, they have one of those things I talked about that was important for our championships, and that's good defense, and they've got one. Their offense has sputtered a little bit over a few weeks, but I think last weekend you saw a little bit more of them letting Kaepernick out of the pocket again. So my guess is you're going to start to see a little bit more of that from him, and until they get that offense back on track again.
Bill Walsh was an offensive genius. If he came to you and said, Joe, you're running a lot of read option this week, your answer would have been?
I'm giving it, Coach. Don't worry about me keeping it. I'm on the give mode.
Excellent. What will the Jags be going through? Because they're a winless team. The pressure builds each week, right?
Well, those are the kind of teams that scare you when you go to play them because you know they're a lot better than what they've been playing. And one of these weeks they're going to put together and get it back on track, and you're just hope that it's not the week you play them. So I know the 49ers have been beaten, the coaches have been beaten into the players this week. Hey, don't overlook this team just because of their record. You can't think about that because there's a lot of talented guys on that team, and they're going to get it back together. And we got to make sure that it's next week that they get it back together. So that's a scary team come for the 49ers coming into play.
And are you looking forward to seeing Wembley Stadium? Because you played there in 88. Summer of 88. It's a very different stadium right now.
Well, that's what I hear. I'm always looking forward to get in there. I wish I was on the field rather than in the stands or sitting next to the commissioner somewhere, but maybe he has a cold beer in there for me and I'll be happy.
Sounds like he wants to play at least one more game, and Joe, we would love it if you could do it as well. He's an absolute legend, the best quarterback in NFL history, Joe Montana.